American supercarriers are the face of the U.S. Navy and have enabled powered projection far off from the U.S. homeland. The U.S. Navy has 10 Nimitz-class supercarriers and is in the process of deploying Ford-class supercarriers. Each of these has a displacement of 10,000 tons and an overall length of 332.8 meters, or 1,092 feet. To give viewers a perspective, it's about 3 football fields long. These supercarriers are nuclear-powered and hence have unlimited range. The U.S. is the only nation to operate so many supercarriers and is more than the rest of the world put together. China has big plans for its aircraft carrier program, and there is intense pride associated with it. Chinese political leaders, as well as military planners, wanted to slowly equal the U.S. Navy when it comes to aircraft carriers. But this doesn't seem to be going as per plan. On November 28th, Minnie Chan of the South China Morning Post reported that Beijing was scrapping plans for a 5th and 6th nuclear-powered carrier once it finished construction of 2 new steam-powered vessels. This clearly is a major cut. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes why China is downsizing its aircraft carrier program. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by War Thunder. If you are, like us, fascinated by military vehicles and technology, I recommend you give War Thunder a try. It's a military vehicle combat game which you can download and play for free on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One with cross-platform support. It has a huge variety of more than 1,200 playable aircraft, tanks, helicopters, and ships from the 1930s to the 1990s, which you can take to battle on land, in the air, and at sea on more than 80 theaters of war. War Thunder's been kind enough to offer all Defense Updates viewers a special bonus, which will grant you a free premium tank, aircraft, or ship, and 3 days of premium account time for registering using our link in the description below. So take the plunge and join more than 20 million players from around the world. For over a decade, China has been steadily building up plans to deploy 6 aircraft carriers. The plan also made provisions so that the carriers are of progressively higher capability. China's first carrier, the Type 001 Liaoning, is actually an old Soviet-era Kuznetsov-class carrier. The Kuznetsov-class aircraft carriers were the last class of aircraft carriers designed for the Soviet Navy. 2 hulls were laid down in the Ukraine before the Soviet Union collapsed. Kuznetsov serves today in the Russian Navy, though it's out of action and will potentially never be operational again. To know more on that, please check the video on the above card. The other hull was purchased in 1998 by the People's Republic of China and towed to Dalian shipyard in northeast China. After being completely rebuilt and undergoing sea trials, the ship was commissioned into the People's Liberation Army Navy. Considerably smaller than U.S. carriers, the Liaoning features a curved ski jump ramp that limits the fuel and weapons payload carried by her J-15 Flying Shark fighters. The second carrier, launched in 2017, designated the Type 001A, was China's first entirely domestically built carrier and is essentially a copy of the Type 001 with very small improvements. China's third and fourth carriers, the Type 002 or Type 003, are significantly larger and more capable. They're designed to possess catapult-equipped flight decks that would allow the deployment of fully combat-loaded jet fighters. The final and most ambitious stage of the Chinese carrier program was 2 even larger flat-deck carriers. These were supposed to use nuclear propulsion and were intended to be equal in capability to the U.S. Navy supercarriers. Let us look now in the reason for downsizing. China has allocated huge sums of money for defense. It's around $250 billion per year, but even this is 3 times less than the American defense budget. Aircraft carriers are very costly to develop, maintain, and operate. It's to be noted that aircraft carriers need other supporting assets to provide cover. For example, American carriers do not operate alone, but are deployed as part of a carrier strike group. The Carrier Strike Group consists of multiple Ticonderoga-class cruisers and Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, as well as Virginia-class attack submarines. Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser and Arleigh-Burke-class guided missile destroyer are equipped with a diverse array of weapons for anti-aircraft warfare, anti-submarine warfare, anti-surface warfare, as well as have the ability to intercept ballistic missiles through Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense System. These vessels can act as a shield for the supercarrier and will take out incoming missiles and other threats. In case of an eventuality, they could be used to protect the supercarrier by coming in between missiles or torpedoes and the supercarriers. The Virginia-class submarines can defeat enemy submarines, clear sea mines, as well as score hits on missile sites. It's clear that operating carriers is a very cost-intensive undertaking, and Chinese economy is slowing down. China's current naval fighter is the Shenyang J-15. The Shenyang J-15, also known as Flying Shark, is a fourth-generation, twin-jet, all-weather, carrier-based fighter aircraft in development by the Shenyang Aircraft Corporation and the 601 Institute for the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy's aircraft carriers. J-15, which is basically an unethical copy of Russian Su-33, uses indigenous Shenyang Liming WS-10H engines, which are underpowered. It's thought to have a low maximum launch weight. With this weight limitation, a J-15 carrier fighter cannot carry a full load of fuel and weapons, so it neither has a good range or an effective weapons package. China's own media has come down heavily on it. Beijing-based Sina Military Network (SMN) criticized the capabilities of the J-15 as nothing more than a flopping fish, incapable of flying from the Liaoning with heavy weapons, effectively crippling its attack range and firepower. Not only this, the aircraft carrier has seen several crashes due to issues that are traced back to its engine, and China is still struggling to find a dependable replacement. Any Chinese aircraft carriers will be venerable and possess limited strike capability because of the inherent issues of Shenyang J-15. China will need to develop a competent naval fighter. There are conflicting reports as to whether China will customize the yet-to-be-deployed J-31 stealth fighter for carrier operations or develop a naval variant of the larger Chengdu J-20 stealth jet currently in service, or build an entirely new fighter jet. Building an aircraft carrier like the U.S. Navy's Nimitz and Ford class is a major engineering feat, since these are very complex. China has run into several issues. China possesses nuclear technology to power its ballistic missile submarines, but building reactors for an aircraft carrier is a different ballgame altogether, since it needs to be much more powerful. For example, U.S. Navy's Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines are powered by a single S-8G PWR nuclear reactor that generates 45 megawatts, whereas Nimitz-class has two A4W reactors, each generating 100 megawatts. Ford-class supercarriers take the game forward and will have two Bechtel A1B nuclear reactors. Each one of these are capable of producing 300 megawatts of electricity, triple the 100 megawatts of each Nimitz-class vessel. China is facing difficulties in developing a small but powerful and safe naval reactor required for nuclear propulsion. China is also determined to equip its 5th and 6th carriers with electromagnetic launch system, or EMALS, instead of steam catapults. With steam actuation, the majority of the force is being transferred to the airplane at the beginning of the stroke, in a jolt. This puts stress on the airframe and thus reduces the lifespan of the multi-million-dollar planes. EMALS uses a linear induction motor with an electric current to generate a magnetic field. That field then propels a carriage down a track. Since the power delivery is linear, it negates the deficiencies of a steam catapult. It can also speed up aircraft operations 25% and requires less maintenance. Currently, EMALS are present only in Ford-class supercarriers, and the U.S. Navy is facing lingering issues and is still fine-tuning it. China has not been able to master EMAL. Reports indicate that tests of the electromagnetic catapults are yet to meet the required standard. So it's clear that China has some way to go when it comes to developing modern aircraft carriers.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.